What's up, everybody? Mike here, and I've got some new updates for Dragon Age the Veilguard regarding classes and specializations that found out through Game Informer recently doing an interview with the game director, and so we found out a lot of great new juicy bits here when it comes to how like the combat will work with these classes. Now I know it's been confirmed that it's only a three-party system, and also these games have been known to have three types of classes: Rogue, Mage, and Warrior. I know it might seem limiting, but there is a variety of subclasses, which are basically the specializations and different ways you can play each of these classes. So I want to go over what we know so far about this stuff. So as I mentioned before, in Dragon Age, there are three classes: Mage, Warrior, and Rogue, each with distinct skills crucial for every team. The previous game's party composition in Dragon Age included 4 members, so this is like the first time we're going to have 3. And at least for this game, it seems like the best party optimization is going to still be at least have one character representing each class. So have one person be Rogue, one Mage, one Warrior, so that you have that good, party synergy. And as in past games, Dragon Age classes have strictly defined abilities, pros and cons to each one. And as a result, it's not easy to replace the benefits of each one of those classes. So just keep that in mind. Dragon Age Veilguard leans even more into action RPG this time around too, rather than a strategy combat, we are used to in Dragon Age Origins, for example. Something else to note here is that in previous Dragon Age games, the Inquisition, Rogues, and Warriors must also decide their starting weapon while choosing the class. Sword and shield, two-handed for Warriors, and bow or dual-wield daggers for Rogues. Later in the game, players can respec their points and swap to the other weapon time. While in Dragon Age the Veilguard, it looks like Rogues can use both simultaneously. So let's talk about the available races for Rogue, at least for the Veilguard. So we have Elf, Dwarf, Qunari, and Human. And then armor type is medium. Weapon type, bow and dual wield daggers. Specializations will be Duelist, Saboteur, and the Veil Ranger. Rogues are agile and stealthy, specializing in ranged attacks with bows or close quarters combat with dual daggers. You may recall in Dragon Age Origins, they excel at dealing high burst damage, lockpicking, and disarming traps. Dragon Age 2 enhanced their mobility and introduced new combat mechanics, making them more fluid in battle. Dragon Age Inquisition further refined rogues with specializations like Assassin, Tempest, and Artificer, emphasizing their roles in stealth, traps, and high damage output. If you take a look here with the image I'm showcasing when it comes to like Rook, the main character, in the skill tree that we can see here, it shows level 30. Now, I believe it has been confirmed the max level cap is 50 for characters. So this is a nice sort of like brief look at or demonstration somewhat, at least some image of what a level 30 character might look like in terms of what skill tree they went for. And you can pick specializations from the start this time around. Specializations for Rogue are Duelist, Saboteur, and Veil Ranger, as I mentioned before. Now, this Duelist specialization focuses on movement and dodging. It's highly agile class with dual wielding skills. Saboteur, similar to Inquisition, this specialization focuses on traps and using them to your advantage during combat. Veil Ranger is more of a range-focused class that prefers to stay in the back lines while primarily using a range of weapons. And then we have interesting information in the description of the well-known and liked Scout Harding. The official website says, as well as unexpected magical powers, whether her magical powers are tied to the character story or her specialization remains unknown, but she possesses some flashy animations during combat in the short gameplay. And like as mentioned before, in Inquisition, Rogues, like Warriors, couldn't use range and melee weapons simultaneously. You had to choose one and couldn't swap between bow and daggers during combat. While you could swap them between encounters, that would require you to spend points on related skill trees so that most players would stick to one playstyle. In the recent gameplay, the protagonist uses a bow while primarily fighting with the dual daggers. Also, if you take a closer look, a small arrow icon on the bottom of the screen indicates 8 available arrows. After the character used the bow attack and consumed 1 arrow, the icon had a cooldown and the number of arrows dropped to 7. When the cooldown ended, it refilled back to 8. It means rogues will have unlimited arrows and won't need to be bought and crafted. However, there will be a limit on how many arrows they can use in a row. Additionally, we can expect new rogue and class animations and never seen before skills, such as a defensive ability that didn't pop up anywhere. Yet the protagonist was somehow able to block the incoming magical projectile despite being in the rogue class. Look closer, you'll see a pink momentum resource bar next to the arrow icon. Each class will have their own resource bar that will allow them to do special attacks. So very cool stuff right there, right? And in the gameplay preview, we see the bar fill up and the player uses a hip fire, letting them pop off arrows from the west with a swift attack. Momentum is described as it fills up more quickly than the other resource bars, but it also depletes more quickly when hit. And then we move on to the Mage. So available races for the Mage is Elf, Canary, and Human. Armor type is light armor, makes sense. Weapon type, staff, like wand and bow. Specializations are Deaf, Caller, Evoker, Spellblade. Mages wield powerful spells to attack enemies, support allies, and control the battlefield. In Dragon Age Origins, mages can access various spells and specializations, such as Blood Mage and Spirit Healer. Dragon Age 2 streamlined spellcasting and introduced new animations, making magic more visually impactful. Dragon Age Inquisition expanded the mage class with specializations like Knight Enchanter, Rift Mage, and Necromancer, offering diverse magical playstyles and strategic options in combat. And once again, take a look at this image here. This is level 30 Rook main character protagonist, but as a mage, and you can see how the skill tree is different in terms of what the showcase switch can go into. And for this one in particular, it seems like they went mainly into Deaf Caller. So you can pick Necromancer, Elemental Mage, and Combat Mage specialization, seems like, in this, but there won't be Blood Mage specialization because Rook has a good reason to avoid blood magic. So for now, yeah, we can kind of sort of speculate that Deaf Caller will be basically similar to Necromancer from Inquisition, with a new twist on undead summoning. Evoker specialization focused on elemental magic, fire, ice, and lightning. And then Spellblade is more of the melee focused class, like a battle mage, basically. One of the introduced companions, Emmerich, is described as a Necromancer mage, while Nev, a Teventer mage, is an ice mage. While Necromancer sounds like a possible specialization that might be available for the protagonist, Ice Mage was, up until now, a spell choice rather than an additional set of skills that each specialization will provide in previous games. Ice Mage abilities will be exclusive to Nev regardless. Based on recently revealed gameplay, most players will first notice the much shorter staff wielded by Nev. It resembles more of a wand, but looks like animations with this weapon while casting the spell are similar to those we already know. We also got to remember that it may be a unique weapon for this companion, similar to Varric's Bianca crossbow, so keep that in mind. Similarly, an interesting detail you can notice during combat is when we see her perform some kind of melee attack, where she closes the gap to the enemy, blasting him with the ice spell. Melee combat was previously a playstyle of Knight Enchanter, who nicely cooperated with ice spells. And that's where maybe Nev's description of Ice Mage comes from. We'll have to wait and see, though. Another companion mage is Balera. She uses a bow as her primary weapon, meaning that classes and weapons will be much more versatile than in previous Dragon Age games, where mages were forced to use staffs. Also, Balera has the Gravity Well spell that pairs fantastically with the Time Stop, which is a Nev companion skill, creating a crowd control combination. You can end it with an AoE spells or rogue AoE abilities as finishers, meaning we can get pretty exciting combos even with 3 mages in the team. Then moving on here to the Warrior. So available races for Warrior in the Dragon Age Veilguard is Elf, Dwarf, Canary, and Human. Armor type is Heavy, makes sense. Weapon type Sword and Shield or Two-Handed. Specializations are Slayer, Reaper, and Champion this time around. Warriors in Dragon Age series are the frontline fighters, excelling in melee combat with swords, axes, and shields. They are highly durable and can take a lot of damage. In Dragon Age Origins, warriors focus on tanking and dealing physical damage with various specializations such as Templar and Berserker. Dragon Age 2 streamlined abilities but added dynamic combat animations. Dragon Age Inquisition expanded their role by introducing new specializations like the Champion, Reaver, and Templar, which allowed for more varied playstyles. And once again, we got the warrior skill tree to look at if you go warrior with the main character Rook. We didn't really see any warrior gameplay though, or information on what specializations may look like for warriors. So we only know the names for now. We can possibly assume that if the rogue class receives some changes to weapons usage, the warrior class will also see some upgrades in Dragon Age of Veilguard. And when it comes to the 3 specializations, so first up, Champion, we don't know what exactly it looks like in Veilguard. We do know in Dragon Age Inquisition, Champions specialize focus on defense and survivability. Champions excel at absorbing damage and protecting allies with abilities that enhance their durability and generate guard to withstand powerful attacks. So basically ideal for, tanks in combat. So I would imagine it's going to be something similar to what they do. They'll take what they did in Inquisition with this and probably add mostly similar things to in Veilguard. Reaper and Slayer, we don't know nothing about really at all right now. So I have to wait and see when they decide to drop more information on that. It is confirmed, though, that all classes will now have melee and ranged combat options. Also, as rogues have momentum, there will be a similar resource bar with special attacks for warriors, too. For example, it will allow the warrior class to lob your shield at enemies. Apparently, you will be able to create your entire playstyle around that special resource bar skills. So it'd be really cool if like you can sort of make a warrior kind of like a Captain America type of build. That'd be really cool. And just to reiterate, the level cap is 50, and with specializations built with abilities like the gigantic spiderweb, you can focus on one side and get the specialization skills early on. This is great news, you know, as some games leave specializations or powerful skills for very late game experience, meaning we often can't play with them much. Developers promise it's not a thing with Dragon Age Veilguard, and players will be able to really lean into class playstyles from the start and specialization from the mid-game. And while one of the biggest changes is shrinking the party size to 3, which feels more like a Mass Effect approach, the new ability wheel should also help players manage companions and use their skills, similar to combat mechanics in Mass Effect. However, the ability wheel is probably meant to be a quick slot option, and your protagonist will be able to use more skills. Nonetheless, shrinking it to such a small amount of options compared to Inquisition, where we had a long ability bar with many skills to choose from, and the ability to control companions feels like a downgrade. However, with only 3 abilities per character, the team will require strategic and tactical decisions, making combat more interesting. Combat and time pause when the ability wheel is open, but the thing is with that is we had more options in previous games, like mainly with Inquisition, so it's like, I don't know why they want to downgrade so much in that regard. Other than, I guess, they have maybe some budget constraints, and maybe they're focused on certain things in other areas that they probably shouldn't be. I don't know, because I still gotta do a video on this, but I feel like if they're focusing maybe in like certain areas they shouldn't focus as much in, and what I mean is like visual fidelity, stuff like that. You know, overall visuals will not, I don't think, sell games like visual fidelity like that. It's more about the gameplay mechanics and gameplay loops like that. So, and story, if it has a story and characters, I don't know, but it just definitely feels like a downgrade in some ways to like the wheel, ability wheels, stuff like that, and a few other things in the party size as well. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, guys, but that's pretty much what I got for you on the classes and subclasses when it comes to specializations, details we know so far. I will definitely keep up to date with this as best possible, keep you guys in the know on what's happening with this game leading up to its release. So definitely stay tuned for more. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and don't forget to check out the links in the description below if you want to join the Discord. We can discuss things there. Have a Dragon Age Veilguard channel, and also don't forget to check out the Patreon, as I got some cool rewards there, and there's exclusive early access podcast I've started up recently that you can check out there for tier 2 and above members. And it's just another way to, you know, support and essentially be part of the backbone for the channel to help me keep going. So I keep making great content for you guys. But that's it for me, guys. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. My name's Mike. Thanks for watching.